Hola, ¿cómo estás? Konnichiwa, aloha, turubem. Hello, what it do? Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast. We appreciate you listening to this episode. Please like, share, and subscribe. And even if you don't love everything that I do, you can still help a brother out. Ain't nothing wrong with helping a brother out. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. I love to debate. I'll definitely talk to you in the comments. I have no problem doing that. I'll actually enjoy it. So I like to hear differing views, whatever you want to talk about the topic, feel free. Today, what we were going to talk about is Shannon Sharpe. So I usually have tried to avoid so far on the channel some of these like overly like things that are about sports because the people involved are in sports, but they're not really like actively doing anything on the field or anything like that. But then again, I have been talking about the Stephen A. Smith stuff and other things. So I wasn't really going to talk about the Shannon Sharpe stuff, but it blew up so big, man. So there's a lot of things going on here. Essentially, if you haven't heard already, Shannon Sharpe has been going through it because he was not disciplined. And unfortunately, what happens to a lot of men is that we are not disciplined unless you have a family or a very strong belief in God and a spiritual, like a very strong spiritual need and Jah above us, or a family or both, which is, in my opinion, ideal. If you don't, that's fine. You can do what you want to do. You really lack discipline as a man. It's extremely difficult. I don't care what anybody says. It's extremely difficult to be a disciplined man. And by discipline, I mean not running around there, sharing your tabernacle with everybody. Okay? It's very hard. You can figure out what tabernacle means. That's up to you. But it's hard because we see things, men, we like the way women look. We love the way women look. We're obsessed with it. And it's everywhere now. You go to the gym, women are wearing tight pants. You walk outside, women are wearing tight pants. You go to the grocery store, women are wearing tight pants. You go to the beach, they're naked. You know what I mean? You go on IG or on Facebook and everybody's naked. And you're trying to stay focused and live a good life. You can't. It's impossible, dang near. So what keeps you honest? What helps keep you a little bit more focused, a little bit more busy? Having a family, having a belief in God, right? Those are two things that can help with that. But ultimately, even people, even men that have a strong spiritual faith and have a good family structure still are tempted by these things, right? And Shannon is no different, but he doesn't even have those two things. So now look at him. He gets in trouble with this girl who is like 20 years old, mind you. He's like, I don't know. How old is Shannon Sharpe? Let's figure out. How old is Shannon Sharpe?
56 years old.
You hear the phone? 56 years old. Messing with a 20-year-old. Old enough to be his granddaughter. I guess he met her at the gym. And basically, she's accusing him of grape. Right? And, in order to get ahead of it, he decides to send out all these nasty text messages she sent him. And I'm not going to sit here and explain every single one of them, but they were raunchy. And a lot of it had to do with the kink or the fetish of big black man, smaller white woman. And basically him, I want you to put a baby in me, a black baby in me. And it just got crazy, all right? It's definitely some type of a kink thing going on there. And then he's talking about choking people out, choking her, and she's liking the choking. And, it's just a lot. It's just crazy messages. So, but before that, he figured, I'm going to get ahead of this lawsuit. And so he sends all these text messages out. And at first, you're sitting there thinking like, okay. Now, some of you might say, oh, yeah, Shannon's doing the right thing. He's being blackmailed and he sent the messages out so she can't get him. And I understand that level of reasoning. But my first impulse, because I think differently, was I was like, dang, man, like, Unc, you're supposed to be showing men how to be disciplined, how to be leaders, how to make smart decisions. And you just throwing out these messages. These are the conversations that you're having with people behind closed doors. And honestly, if you're having those conversations behind closed doors, all power to you. But I don't need to know that. And when it comes out to the light, you're sitting there like, yo, like, dang, like, it's just everything ain't for everybody. And to just throw that out there to save yourself, you know, but you also look, in my opinion, you look silly. You look silly, man, because, you know, you look like your moral code is freaked up. And I know some people don't care about morality, right? But the truth of the matter is, even if you don't say it out loud or it's not the thing on the front of your mind, in the back of your head, you're thinking, man, this guy's into some stuff. And so if he was talking to you and you were right in front of him, you'd be thinking about those text messages. You might not even be thinking about whatever he's talking about. You might be watching TV, watching him talk about whatever he's talking about, and you be thinking to yourself like, yo, like, what about them? What about those black babies you were talking about with that girl, with old girl? You know? And so it's a crazy situation, man. And so he sends out the messages, but then audio starts leaking, right? And then we find out that the girl wanted $50 million. She sent out something to him like, oh, it's $50 million per cheek, which is wild. 50 grand for some cheeks is crazy. What, the cheeks golden? Did they wipe themselves? Like, what? What are we talking about here, man? What's going on? So that happens. Then it turns out that he's like, I'm not giving you a dime. This is just blackmail. Everybody stick with me. And at first, ESPN doesn't do nothing with it. But then some audio came out, and the audio sounding crazy. And in my opinion, listening to the audio, it sounded like he was threatening her a little bit. But then again, you saw the text messages before. They just might be into that rough and tumble stuff, you know, like they don't make love. They fist fight in the bedroom. That's what it sounds like. And some people, again, are into that. I'm not in everybody's bedrooms, you know, but some people are into that type of stuff. So, you know, where do I stand on that as far as those things are concerned? It's a toss-up, man. I don't know if he's actually choking her or if she just likes being choked. I don't know. I'm not a judge. That's not for me to decide. I'm going to stay right in the middle and stay neutral because it could go either way. But, you know, that happens. And then recently, if you take a look at this graphic right here, it's basically going to show you what he had to say recently about having to leave the show, right? And it says, my statement is found here, and this is the truth. The relationship in question was 100% consensual. At this juncture, I am electing to step aside temporarily from my ESPN duties. I will be devoting this time to my family and responding and dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason. I sincerely appreciate the overwhelming and ongoing support I have received from my family, fans, friends, and colleagues. Shannon Sharpe. So it's gotten so bad that he had to step away. It doesn't look like he planned to do that at first, but he had to step away. Now, it looks like he's still doing stuff on his social media, on his other platforms, right? So I don't know if he's on a sabbatical there and they're just not paying him at ESPN right now, or if he's, you know, still getting paid. I don't know, but he's still getting money because he's got his other platforms, and he is entertaining. So, you know, outside of official ESPN stuff, he you know, he's gonna still probably garner some views because he's Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe is entertaining. I can't say he's not. The only time I hate listening to him, and I still listen to it because it's kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie, is all when he's just doing all this praise and worship for LeBron James. It's a lot, but it's actually kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. I can't listen to people like Nick Wrong. I can't listen to him at all, but I can listen to Shannon Sharpe because he's entertaining. He's funny. But so he now had to step aside, right? He had to step aside. And really, again, I'm just disappointed. I'm not judging the man. Like, I wasn't surprised, per se, because, like, thinking, oh, man, how could Shannon do this? No, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised that this happened to him. The youth of the lady is a little bit surprising. And I don't know if you guys remember back, I don't know if this was, like, November or some other time back a few months ago, where he accidentally, quote unquote, leaked some audio from going live on IG, and he's like, sounds like he's grinding on some woman named Michelle. And apparently Michelle also recently just put out a lawsuit, some woman named Michelle, against him. So Shannon's going through it, man, and he's got a lot going on. He's going to have to do a lot of soul searching, but I'm just disappointed because he's supposed to be Unc. You already had your time in the NFL. You're making good money now. Everybody likes you. You just can't discipline yourself, man, and it's not a good look for those that are coming behind you. And so I don't know how many people are listening to this channel right now that haven't worked on themselves as far as disciplining yourself. But listen, at the end of the day, and this is my opinion, you don't have to listen to it. This is just how I'm going to move. And this is just how successful people historically, if you look at their paths, have moved. This is why you need to be married at a certain point, man. Don't listen to social media and the red pill and all that stuff. And I get it. Sometimes it's satisfying to listen to a red pill podcast and a dude just going off on some woman that's not listening about how, women can't necessarily do everything men can do, and talking about how she don't need no man, and then she realizes she does need a man, and one of those red pill guys are going off on her. There's a little bit of satisfaction in that. I get it. But that can't consume you to the point where you just running away from marriage and commitment. There's nothing like having a good woman by your side to help you grow your businesses and whatever else that you're trying to do to be your most successful side. It's not easy. It is difficult. It's not going to take away all temptation for everybody, right? My favorite player is Kobe Bean Bryant. And he stepped out on his marriage, and it cost him a lot for a while. And, he rebuilt himself. But just because you're married doesn't mean you won't still be tempted. But even Kobe would have told you if he was still alive, marriage is important. And growing to the point where you can really commit to that and the person that you love is important. And he mentioned in his farewell speech, I wouldn't be what I am today if it wasn't for my beautiful wife. And when Drake came out and said you wasn't with me shooting in the gym, Kobe said, you're right, but she was at home taking care of my family so I could shoot in the gym. Kobe tried to convince Carmelo Anthony not to get, divorced with Lala. That's what I heard. I could be wrong. Melo, if you're listening, let me know. I don't mean to disrespect your previous union, but I believe that's what I was told. I heard that he said that to you. And you still, you had to do what you had to do. I get it. But I heard he tried to convince you otherwise. And I would try to convince all of you for that same reason. If you look at what's happening to Shannon. Now, I'm not saying this couldn't happen if he was married, but it's less likely. When you don't owe anybody anything or have any devotion to anything, and you begin to believe you're bigger than you are and that you can't be touched. But look at what happened. They touched him. Well, she touched him. Pause. Actually, no, that's not a pause. If he touched him, that was a pause. She touched him, not a pause, but it's going to cost you. And I don't know if I said this already. I think I did early in the video, but just to remind you, apparently it also came out that he tried to give her $10 million just to shut up. And also, he was in the middle of potentially taking on a $100 million deal, just like Stephen A. just got. And this is where we got to give Stephen A. some credit. Stephen A. has avoided the scandals that could have potentially harmed his $100 million. Stephen A., we can say what we want about him. I'm not a fan. I think he's a fraud. Stephen A. fraud sometimes. But the boy got his bag and stayed out of trouble. He had a goal and he achieved it. You have to give him some credit for that. And he was disciplined enough to achieve it. Shannon, you might not get back to that bag, man. Sadly. All for what? 20-year-old 6 out of Ohio? That's what my wife says. My wife says she's like an Ohio 6. So a 20-year-old 6 out of Ohio is costing you all this nonsense, man. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And then, again, I'm just disappointed, man, that this is just a bad example. But hopefully all of you and everybody out there listening, you can learn from this, man. Don't be going through life getting older and older and older and not married. You may think I'm living free and I can do whatever I want, but like everything else, there's reasons why you should do things that are more difficult. Marriage is not easy, but there's a reason why it is a safeguard. You having one wife is a safeguard against the many harlots out there that could take your money and could accuse you of nonsense. And yeah, you could lose it in a marriage too, but even let's say if he got divorced and he was married and he got divorced today, would that mess with his $100 million? No. Eric Spoelstra got divorced, I believe, and then right after his divorce, the Heat re-upped him with a big contract. He still got that money because nobody looks at divorce in 2025 and says, oh, you're a bad person. But when you get caught in these scandals and stuff like that, people are like, I don't want to give him that. He's always in something sexual. You know what I mean? So, Shannon Sharpe, I wish you the best, man. I'm going to pray for you, but you're going to have to make some changes, brother. You're going to have to make some changes. And if you look at this graphic here, the whole graphic that I've had up the whole time for the most part, there was in fact, we're not going to look at the graphic. I'm going to play it for you and let you listen to what he actually had to say about this graphic. But just to read it to you to start with, it definitely says, to people saying date your age, he says, I want to date my wage. So let's listen to what he had to say, like actually saying this out loud. See how funny it probably sounded.
Everybody always talk about date your age, date your age. Well, I want to date my wage. I'm finna shut all this ish down tonight. I want to date my wage.
Stay right there.
Where y'all at? Hey, chat, where they at?
Hold on. Cause I keep it on me now.
Yeah.
I keep it on me. You want to date your what?
I want to date my wage. Not my age. I want to date my wage. So where are they? Cause y'all always talking about date your age, date your age. I want to date my wage. So come on with it.
Well, you talking?
As a matter of fact, I'm taking applicants as we speak.
Well, you talking spicy tonight, boy.
Well, in the words of my boy Scap Attack. It's so funny when he says that. But bro, come on, man. I don't want to date my age. I want to date my wage. Where they at? Taking applications. How many applications are you going to be taking from now on, Mr. Shannon Sharpe? Come on, Unc. Cut it out, man. See, this is that type of behavior. And it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games until it's not fun and games anymore. And so this is a learning lesson for everybody out there, man. This is a learning lesson for everybody out there, So if you, as a man specifically, if you don't have discipline, and the two things I think about the most are, do you have faith in God? If you don't, and you don't want it, you don't want that relationship, that's on you. I'm not going to push it on you. But that's first and foremost, because that teaches you how to discipline your body members and control yourself sexually, right? Because when you don't, or you don't have a family, because that's the second thing, you don't have a family that holds you accountable. If I cheated on my wife, it wouldn't just be me cheating on my wife. My son is no longer, it's not going to be the relationship I once had. As he grows up, he'll see what I did. Even if she decides to stay with me. That'll never not be a hot topic of discussion that anybody could use on me at any given time. And if you really don't give two you-know-whats about what people think about you, then I guess the family thing doesn't matter either. But I would care, personally. My own mother, I know my mother. My own mother, my grandparents would be disappointed in me if I did that. They would be disappointed in me. And I actually have a good relationship with my in-laws as well. My wife's parents are great people. And look what I did there. Like when I took my vows to marry my wife, I took them seriously. Her dad gave her to me. I'm now my wife's protector. And by extension, my son. And having to look that man in his face, who's a strong man that I believe in, and say, yeah, I cheated on your daughter. That also helps to keep me from doing things that I shouldn't be doing. But when you're just out here willy-nilly, living your life, Shannon Sharpe, I don't know if he's ever been married. I know he has kids. I don't know if he's ever been married. But date your wage is funny. It's great for clicks until it actually comes back to bite you in your butt cheeks, which is what's happening to Shannon Sharpe. Pause, no diddy. And in fact, his butt cheeks were involved in some of those text messages also. But I'm not gonna Pause no bad boy. I ain't going down that road. You can look it up for yourself. I don't want to talk about men's cheeks, all right? Not any further than I have to. Pause no diddy. So there's that. But on the way out, because that's pretty much all I have to say on the topic, right? But there's one other thing. I want you to listen to this clip of Monique. And she's telling Shannon, like, what are you doing? Even she gets it too. And she told him this months ago, right? She told him this already. And he didn't want to listen. So check this out.
You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I don't.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your ass and get your old bitch out there that can love you old.
Mo is different now.
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
But you trying to say what you trying to say? Mo?
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at me.
I ain't backing down. You better take your old and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs.
Let me be my
Let
life.
me tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You trying to hang out with these young you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you want some money to go to Starbucks?
Yeah.
Because I can't go no further. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's gonna say, hold on, let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter, because that's gonna get your energy back up.
Bro, this clip is so funny to me, man. She was wilding, man. She said, take your old behind, get you a big chick. You can't hang out with these old chicks. These young chicks. She said, not 20s, not even in the 30s. Get you an old chick that you could rock out with, man. Apple butter, get you some apple butter, some toast to get your energy back up. Bro, this is actually funnier than some of Monique's stand-ups, in my opinion, the way she was going at him on this. But where does she lie? Where does she lie? I don't see a lie. I don't see now a lie told. I don't see one. She was right on point. She said, I wish I would be out there looking for somebody at 56 years old. That in itself is a job. And then the more famous you become, trying to find somebody else that really loves you for who you are has got to be difficult. Even if the other person is famous, are they looking at you as like a business partner or like a real partner? You know? So there's a lot that comes with that. And, you know, Monique is just keeping it real here. She said the right thing. Shannon, you're too old to be doing this, man. To be running around with all these young hoochies. You know, it's not good. You got to be your own person and get married, man. Are you done yet? Have you learned your lesson yet, Shannon? Get married, boy. Get married. Stop it. You're always talking about your grandma and how she was whooping toes or whooping feet, as they say, and you came home and your grandmother did what your grandfather said, you know, and he took care of the family. She took care of everything else. And man, I love listening to Shannon Sharpe's plantation stories. And I know that sounds crazy saying plantation because he wasn't actually on a plantation, but he has very humble beginnings. He talks extensively about like not having a toilet in the house, had to go outside. And so it just sounded like he was making telling plantation stories. But at the end of the day, I like Shannon Sharpe. I wish him the best. I'm going to pray for him. You just have to, at a certain point, stop trying to buck against the system, right? Everybody's trying to buck against the system. Get every rich and successful man usually is married or has at least been married. I don't think he's even been married. And part of it is because of stuff like this. It's because of stuff like this. And again, even if you got divorced, it don't look as bad as you getting involved with these little women out here in the streets that are 20 years old and then trying to figure out why everything around you is falling apart. So that's just my 2 cents on this. I was trying to avoid it, but man, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So, you know, that's where the news is. That's where you got to go. That's kind of what I'm doing here is I'm like a journalist or an analyst. I'm analyzing the news and giving my 2 cents. And hopefully my 2 cents is entertaining. Because if it's not, you won't listen. And I'd like you to listen. So thank you very much for your time and your energy. Appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't click off immediately because there's some other suggested videos that I know you'll love. And I appreciate all the support. I'm very humble. Much love.
That somehow